there's the argument, like you said, going for something that's
Or
cost
hell, even not a
effective.
Maelstrom, right?
Yeah,
Like an Echo Save is
yeah,
totally fine, and then you just put more points into the Primal Spring, and then farm that way,
yeah.
with just getting a lot of stacks up for yourself. Boundless Strike, of course, is still very strong right now, and it helps with shoving out waves too. So I think both options are perfectly viable. Like we said, they first picked this overall, so they've got the flexibility. They clearly have confidence, kind of like what White Album does with the Storm Spirit, which,
Ten
you know,
seconds
I'm just going to
remaining.
put it out there. Storm Spirit's still in the pool.
Grimstroke.
Could be kind of a viable thing. It's into the Next Assassin, which makes it a bit rougher, but no Void Spirit, no Lena. Probably going to be no Storm Spirit, so we might be seeing some different mid laners come out here.
And I think the
10
draft,
seconds
like
remaining.
him, is not the biggest counter to the Storm in regards to like
5
stuns
seconds
or
remaining.
how his toolkit works. But it's the indirect where you just ball up, take objectives, and Storm early on. You can't 5v5, and you can really never 5v5 unless you get Aghanims or unless you're really far ahead and have the
Radiant
items where you
team
can kill these really pesky supports on the backline that offer a lot of the sustain. So you feels like the Storm just cannot be enabled here because of how Aster can group up at some stage in this game.
Hmm. And I mean, I know I'm going to sound a little biased because it is one of my
10 seconds
favorite slash
remaining.
best heroes, but I feel like this Phoenix could have very easily been a Wyvern. You know,
5
the
seconds
Cold
remaining.
Embrace was nerfed, sure. The Q was nerfed, sure. And the cast range on the Winter's Curse was also nerfed. But you're going up against Death Ball. They're going to be grouped up together. You're going to be able to get off a good Winter's Curse more times than not. And then in the first two picks, they revealed two of their cores, which are heavily reliant on physical damage. So that Cold Embrace gives you insane value. I feel like it would have been a great Wyvern game, even though the only ones picking it up right now are basically Virtus Pro, and that's not even in the Chinese region. So,
And the issue with now going the Phoenix means you kind of telegraph what your position 3 wants to do. He wants to be a beefy hero that can have team fight control. Instantly think of Tide and Mars.
Dire team
Well,
pick.
Aster have already opened up with a Monkey King who absolutely destroys those heroes in the lane. So now you can't opt for a way to enable your Supernova, and then maybe you transition down to a position 1 route that could go for some team fight like a Faceless Void, but you can't pick a Void into a Lycan because he
10
can take
seconds
objectives and
remaining.
doesn't care about your cooldown. So this is means that IG, they have to go
5
for their own
seconds
kind of
remaining.
lane
Team
dominating
ban.
esque hero in Firefly's Ursa.
Queen of pain.
that's some newish heroes. I feel like this Lesh might not be mid. I feel like it might be an offlane Lesh, and it's just going to still achieve that frontliney style of role, and still have Phoenix looking to back him up
10
with a Sunray.
seconds remaining.
I'm just not quite sure what the Ursa is going to do exactly this game. Like the
5
laning
seconds
stage should still be
remaining.
okay against the Lycan, but you know, if it's Grimstroke paired together with it, you can't really just come up into melee range. You're going to get harassed out more often than not, and then there's always the
Dire
turnaround
team
potential, of
banned.
course. So,
Radiant
uh,
team banned.
I mean, IG their draft looks very rough to execute for mine. There's just so many things that need to come off in their favor, and a lot of them, to be honest, feel like they're on the back of Aster making mistakes, which they haven't really been making. You know, they went 5-1 in the group stage, and
Yep.
obviously this is their first
10
time playing
seconds
in the
remaining.
playoffs, considering they secured one of those top 2 spots. But there's a reason that they're
5 seconds
sitting here
remaining.
waiting, being able to observe all of these other teams, and I'm sure what's going on over in ESL as well, with LGD still carrying the flag for China. They've reached top 3 now, just beaten out T1 in a, well, that was an amazing game 3. I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch it, but it was the definition of like rack Dota and just next level mind games, and that's what gives
Dire
China
team
the edge
banned.
at TI, in my opinion. They've just got something that no other region does.
And we'll ask to have something that IG don't have at the moment, and that's reserve time. IG have used all of them down to 2 seconds, so they better have a pretty good understanding of what they're looking for here with their last pick. It looks like Aster looking to
10
try and ban
seconds
out some of
remaining.
JT's heroes. I like what you were saying about the Leshrac. I feel like you definitely can
5
put him as a
seconds
position
remaining.
3 because you want a range matchup versus the Monkey King. Maybe then move the Nyx into the position
Radiant
4
team
so you have the double stun lane, but it still feels like IG, their 2 supports like Nyx and Phoenix aren't the strongest laners. So if you pair Phoenix and Ursa together, then maybe a Lycan and Grimstroke could be a bit of a nuisance, and a Monkey +1, which we're still looking for.
10
What are they going
seconds
to go for with
remaining.
their last pick here? Like, is this going to be I don't know, a
5
Bloodseeker or
seconds
something like that.
They might bite the bullet and tide. Like, I do really like it versus Lycan. The Phantom's Embrace is pretty crap. That's... instant answer. Oh, Danog's happy.
Let's go, baby. All right, something new. You're going to be able to counter out a lot of the Phoenix healing, I suppose, now that the ultimate is based off of your max HP. I think it's 2% at level 1 ultimate, 2.75 at level 2, and 3.5 at level 3. And this lasts over 20 seconds. And at level 20, you can increase that duration by 5 seconds. And then if it does get to 25, probably not going to be the case, but you're just really strong. So now Venomancer has this scaling potential. You've also got Lanham leaning into Fly. So you've got a Venomancer against a melee core. Sucks. Yeah, I'm going pretty heavily on Aster for this one with the draft.
You gotta say, you gotta be excited when the Venom got picked up. I feel like it didn't matter who was playing it. I reckon you would have chosen the team with the Venomancer.
Maybe if they went the Wyvern on Invictus, I might have, had a little bit of a soft spot for that. RIP Wyvern. But no, the Veno, I think, for mine, is just going to... Like, why do you pick an Ursa? You pick it because you think you've got a good matchup in the laning phase, and then they've just completely countered that. And you also don't have a way to move around in these team fights prior to picking up the BKB. I mean, the second Roche is even more important than ever for them, but I just feel like they're never going to get the opportunity right now on IG.
And the Veno provides an incredible way to scout out that Roshan. Just pop those Plague Wards down. Easy as that. Yep. You can have the Wolves even scouting too with the the Lycan aspect there. So it's going to be very difficult for them to sneak Roshan. And heading into this one, it's again, we haven't seen Aster play yet in the playoffs, but they're pulling out something out of the hat here with the position 5 Veno, and this makes me a little bit more excited as well because we finally get to hear some some in-depth analysis from Danog. In previous games it's kind of just been a little bit felt just the words trying to get by, but now you got your Venomancer, so we might actually hear some in-depth stuff from you. I like that.
Wow. Just throw me under the bus, why don't you?
Did you
my
heroes go out of the meta?
Not really, not anymore. I'm a Lich spammer now.
You were a Veno spammer.
Back to you.
Agreed. I was on a 13 win streak in ranked, which is always good.
Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. Now we can get a true understanding of the toxicity in the Venomancer coming through, thanks to you.
It is easy being green sometimes, and I haven't got a chance to try it too many times just because, there are some things that you're lacking. It's not like some heroes as a position 5 in pubs, you can 1v5 a game just because of how much information and stun and team fight control that you have. Unfortunately for a Venomancer, you do need to pick it together with a laner that is quite effective at being able to bully down, and they're... wait a minute. The Venomancer's kind of positioning himself up the top. I know it's Lanham against the Brewmaster. It's still not going to be easy for him. But I felt like you want to try and deny this Ursa as much farm as possible.
So did you want Lanham to actually go bot and swap the lanes here with putting the Grimstroke top?
Yeah, why not? Still a strong lane on the top side, and like Lanham would completely just bin this Ursa. Level 6, then you can leave, but you're probably going to be out of the lane prior to that anyway.
What are some of the nice pairings that you enjoy playing the Venom with in regards to like position 1s? Is Monkey up there?
Yes, Monkey is up there. It's probably like Monkey, Slark, anyone that's got a decent amount of gap close. Because you can just do this. You get the better side of the trades every single time, and then you can just back up. You can still get a lot of farm, and then when the lanes are won and you've already bullied out all of the regen on the enemy's heroes, you can start getting some pulls off. With just a single point in the Poison Sting, a single point in the Plague Ward, you can very easily take some small camps for yourself and just build up that farm further and further. Veno's one of those heroes that loves to snowball in the super early game if you can get something like a 4-star for a Veiler Discord.
It does feel like the Veno, in regards to being able to make plays, isn't the easiest. So do you feel like Aster have their weaknesses covered with the rest of their 4 heroes?
I mean, they are lacking in stuns, right? They've got the Inkswell, sure. They've got the Boundless Strike, but that's it. There's not really anything else that's going to lock these heroes in place. For the plus side for them, though, it's not the greatest mobility on IG's heroes. Sure, you've got the Leshrac and Ollie in a little bit of danger of dying here. Will the creep wave be enough? And yes, it will. So Lanham getting that first blood.
Ah, yes. Increase the toxicity here for Lanham. Get him that solo experience. almost up to the second level now, and first blood, you'd be able to see it. We'll see. I think, what do you want to see, like, the early item progression on the Veno? Is the urn going to be on the cards?
For this game, the urn is fine. I mean, it's a good way to be able to just keep people locked down, especially onto building into a spirit vessel is great against the Phoenix. Most of the time, it is what I end up doing, and, well, they don't really have a natural urn carrier on their lineup outside of the Venomancer, so I think it's totally fine, but I think a 4-staff is still perfectly viable as well. You know, you're going to need to get in place to be able to consistently chase down the likes of this Lesh, this Ursa, and hell, even just being able to force yourself into the middle of a team fight and pop your ultimate, it's pretty underrated.
And how about this mid matchup, though, for Emo against White Album? We've seen White Album has just been destroying immense amount of games here with his position too, and, well, for Emo and the Lesh track, do you feel like he'll have a lane that could be favored to him, or are we a little bit troubled against the Quap?
I think he's a lot troubled against the Quap. I mean, there was the death on the Phoenix on the top side, but he had to just go back because he doesn't want this Monkey King to get out of control. You can see White Album here. He's going for a kill onto Emo, and I think he might even get it. He's got the bottle charge. TP's coming in, but is he going to tick out to that Shadow Strike? I think he might.
Tower
He'll have to get
regen.
denied by Kaka.
Oh.
He regens between the ticks. So that's a wasted salve. He takes away his bottle, his bounty rune as well.
Would you rather him deny himself, and then so he doesn't have to walk all the way back to base, and then he can TP out?
Probably. I would have gone for the deny in that situation, but, well, clearly valuing his life a little bit more than that. But it's just more and more wasted gold in my eyes.
And the last lane we haven't really touched on at the moment is XXS on the Lycan. It's having a grand old time here versus the Ursa. Firefly still doing pretty well in CS, but, you know, it looks like at the moment down the extra advantage in the support, which is helping out mid as White Album might fall here, and he will. Wasn't able to get the blink off, I believe, just shy on mana thanks to Karka's burn.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more Nixes do that lately, huh? Put even a couple of points into the mana burn just to be able to prevent some of these mana-based cores from having a good time early on. So good turnaround kill that they were able to claim that. He's just going to be able to come straight back out to lane, though. Buying up most of the portions of his Null Talisman, and, yeah, immediately looking to get aggressive, even just using some of the Fountain regen to basically get off a free blink.
It's nice to see, though, the awareness from every team when there's a support missing in the lane. They recognize they have the strength in numbers just to do a little bit chip harassment in, as Ursa down bot just force a TP out from XXS's Lycan. So, you know, this was off the back of Borax trying to, I think, refill the bottle mid. Or actually, sorry, we're soaking up some experience. So we do have 5 minutes coming up shortly. Is there a team that you'd feel happier with how they can make rotations across the map early? Like maybe the Nyx Assassin, so to say?
I mean, the Nyx Assassin sure can rotate, but Phoenix doesn't want to do it at all. I feel much more confident in Aster's lineup because you're just going to be able to chase people down with this Lycan, and eventually the Wolves are going to get permanent invisibility in, what, 3/4 of a level, and then suddenly you've got an extra layer to be able to initiate. As long as the sentry vision isn't there on IG, you can use that ink swell and try and get a surprise stun to start these team fights.
They are converging on mid. Let's see, Emo doesn't have any points in the edict. See if they can chain lock him perfectly. The stun just too late there as White Album, man. That would have been a big kill to find it. Still, the Queen of Pain feels like you're a hero that has a pretty big death quota. And if you might actually, does he chuck the Sonic Wave to kill Ollie? I have to think about it, but no, with the blink away. So the Queen of Pain is definitely still a hero that if you die more than 4 times, it feels like you really start to scale out of control, or at least you're out of contention of, you know, being the position 2 that you would like, you know, is someone who really feels like you need to snowball.
Yeah, and it is enabled a lot more, that snowball potential, of course, with the change to his Q. The Aster heroes, they rotate, but it's not with a TP. They just walked all the way through to the lane, so they're feeling a lot more confident of being able to turn this around and still have the capability to return back to their lanes. I mean, the big victory for Aster is this top lane. The Venomancer's completely secured it, JT, he's got less farm than the enemy's Grimstroke. And, I mean, at least for a Brewmaster, all you really need is that urn, and you're level 6. And then you're accomplishing a lot of what Brewmasters want to do super early on. But doesn't make it any easier for you when you're in this seemingly helpless situation.
Lane. A little bit of poke and prod on White Album. No. See if he's gonna. They don't have an extra stun, and in fact, he's gonna be okay. It's down bot, where Fly gets a solo kill on Borax. So, okay, beautifully played on the Ursa there.
I'm gonna look back at that and how that happened, because I have no clue. He was just able to get in onto him. He's got the Ulber Venom, got the slow off, and there wasn't any Inkswell stun that came off. There was even a little bit of Miss Micro coming out from XXS there with his Helm of the Dominator Alpha Wolf creep, not able to connect with the Inkswell stun to potentially get the return kill. So Fly having a surprisingly good time in this lane for mine, and you know, as good as it is that you've been able to bully out this Brewmaster a little bit, again, he is going to reach his level 6, and you're still going to have that team fight effectiveness. Whereas if it was against the Ursa in lane, you know, Ursa has nothing. We saw yesterday an Ursa that was like 6 levels behind the enemy's core, and he just wasn't able to do anything in team fights other than act as a meat shield, and even then, he was kind of subpar at that.
They are attempting a gank on Fly at the moment, bringing down Lennon along with Borax. That was just a level 6 completed on an XXS, so they wanted to pick off into the tier 1 tower. Fortunately, they won't get a kill, but nonetheless, it should still be a very easy tower taken here.
And Lennon, he's just got the 1 point in the Plague Wards right now, so he doesn't really want to... Oh, he might... I was thinking he might have looked to put one up towards the top side there to see if there might be any rotations coming through, since they are lacking a little bit of high ground vision towards any kind of rotations. But you want to be careful at not giving up too many Plague Wards. They still give a decent amount of experience and gold, and you really need level 2 because that kind of forces a heavier commitment out from heroes if you're looking to want to kill them, and that's when you've got that turnaround potential, of course.
They are going to bring down Emo, though, on the left track, see if he can offset the advantage that Aster have put on the map, especially down bottom, but they don't have... Like, either team right now really don't have the easiest way to start these fights. It's kind of off the back of Nyx getting level 6, which we're going to hope to see Karka can soak up some experience. Brew does have his level 6 as well, so maybe IG can make a play around the first primal split of the game.
I suppose, but I mean, it's still going to be hard, right? Because of how difficult the laning stage is now against the Queen of Pain and all that sustain. You can see the Lesh, he's only a little bit behind the pop and he's able to take up these stacks. But in terms of taking towers, no points in Diabolic Edict. So they're going to find things quite difficult for themselves.
Yeah, and this is a very interesting build here from Emo. Like, quite often, the 202 build can be nice on the left track when you're against like a ranged hero and you need your own way to kind of harass, and that's especially the case versus Queen of Pain. Otherwise, you know, when are you ever going to get on top of it to utilize that edict? But now going for these extra levels means that you don't have ways to put your own stamp in this game and kind of take some early damage to the towers. As Aster, though, bringing their numbers mid, looking to try and put a little bit of chip damage in. That'll force JT to rotate.
A little bit of that vision advantage. They've actually popped the Inkswell in onto White Album, but he just used the blink prior to that, so he wasn't able to get in on top of Emo.
Fly in the river? Anyway. Wait, there's a heavy commitment on the Ursa. He's only got the backup on Oli now as well, and knowing the Rage is on cooldown, let's see if Aster can play around with their food. They can't really man fight him at the moment, so it has to be a slow, methodical death. But now with the Inkswell popping, they'll kill off Fly. It also gives away no capability for JT to get the ultimate off just yet, and he's going to have to use it pretty soon. Otherwise, he's in a position where they might be able to burst him down with one stun. White Album just misses on the Sonic Wave. So it enables JT to pop that ultimate. Now White Album, he did commit on forward. Blink up in a couple of seconds. Just enough health to survive the primal split. But JT can still continue to move on forward. He's going to have this win panda shortly.
Is really low.
Oh, just gets him. But the only issue is that JT pops out in no man's land. Yes, he gets the kill on White Album, but it's going to cost him his life.
And he gets the kill on White Album, who'd used all of his mana, who'd done his job, and then you just feed more gold over to Monet, who, what do you know? He's gone for that Battle Fury.
Yep, this incredibly farm Monkey King, top of the net worth. He's already got the Perseverance completed. We'll be working towards the Claymore and Broadsword as well, which has enough if he wants a second component as well. So the third component, I should say. So yeah, Monet, again, this maxed up Primal Spring build, he's been a huge fan of it from what we've been seeing so far.
Yeah, I mean, you're just able to farm up stacks so efficiently. You know, you've got the Battle Fury, of course, that's going to be able to secure that into the later stages, but it just feels like the amount of farm that you're able to secure is insane compared to any other carry in the game.
IG contesting a stack at the moment. Aster well aware of this as they rotate in a couple of extra heroes to see if they can contest it, but unfortunately a little bit too late in that regard. But they've still this economy lead that Aster have. It's up to 3,000 at the moment, even though it's a 5-3 kill count. It seems like they've gotten a lot more out of the laning stage.
A lot more out of the laning stage. I mean, some of that gold is because of the tower that got taken on the bottom side, for sure. But, I mean, there's nothing really stopping Aster from looking to make another attempt in here, as we can see them all grouping up on the bottom side, well away from the Monkey King. Ollie might be forced to pop a pretty early supernova here. He's trying to get them to dive as much as possible. And
are they actually going to try and bring it down?
Two mines here.
Yeah, okay. It's...
Well,
meanwhile, this is
baited,
Roche. Fly attempting to take it. JT should be able to tank this up. So this is... I mean, it feels like we've seen this like 3 times now from Aster, where they've just, you know, forced a heavy commitment on the opposite side of the map that has just enabled the Ursa to take an incredibly fast timing on the Aegis.
Yeah, I mean, it was... a lot of people might be laughing at the supernova saying, oh, he just used it to live, but it just created all this space for Flyfly to come back into this. I'm honestly really surprised with how much Flyfly got out of the laning stage, and, well, good teamwork that they've been able to enable him to get this, and that might then transition into a tower. It's only the 1 point in the Diabolic Edict, but if you've got 4 heroes up here, I think you're pretty happy with that. It's going to cost them a tier 1 mid, though, so I don't think Aster are too unhappy about that. Still only about 600 gold away from that Helm of the Overlord, and that's when you can really see XXS start to put the pressure on.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Only a 14-minute Battle Fury timing on Monet. Feels like we've been seeing a pretty consistent 13 minutes from him, so he's a little bit behind, you know, the par that he has set for himself on the Monkey King, but nonetheless an incredible timing. And again, what do you know, working on the BKB, so he's really looking to try and hit this fast magic immunity to enable them to have these solid mid-game fights, because that's definitely what you're worried about here. Like IG, they're all on the train of just kind of running over around this second Roshan timing and then utilizing that Aghanim shard to perfection.
Yeah, for sure. I like the fact that JT went into the Midas as well. Not too often that I'm a Midas fan, but I feel like with this Brewmaster, with his talents, it's just something that you need. I mean, if you can get up to level 20 for that extra Brewling's health, gives you so much more control in team fights, and I feel like that's exactly what an Ursa and a Leshrac need to achieve their maximum effectiveness. Going into the Aghanim Scepter next, of course, but he's doing it pretty well.
Excellent.
See, do you feel like IG are the strongest team out of the map right now, even with this Aegis advantage?
Under attack.
Probably not. I mean, we've seen one.
Well, we'll see.
There's a 3-man poison over.
Yeah, fight's gonna break out here with the Wukongs, trapping them in a situation where IG don't feel like they want to take the fight right now. I mean, Fly, early use in the rage. They need an out delta split towards a supernova as Aster can bring it down with ease. The only issue is it puts Monet in a compromised position as Fly pounces on forward, securing the double, and now he's going to look to drag his attention to XXS, but the lack of control really being highlighted here with a way to not keep up onto the Lyca, but White Album is still in fighting shape. He's going to blink on forward. Got the ink swell on one of the creeps, and JT recognizes the inevitable as he'll just tank up the rest of the damage.
And that's the thing, like, you can all in onto the Venomancer. That's why I love it as a position 5. Like, you just have this super heavy commitment onto him, and as long as he can press his R button, you're done. Like, you've done your job, especially now because of the change to the maximum HP that it's able to remove every single time. They've even scouted out a little bit of a stack going on here. I'm not sure how quickly a Venomancer is going to be able to take that, but...
Let's go, land him.
Regeneration.
He's got to make sure he's hitting as many units as possible and microing his Plague Ward so he can get that double stack of the Poison Sting onto as many targets as possible.
That's right. Now they got
But
the Helm of the
Black Dragon
Overlord.
will do it.
Yep, that's all good.
I mean, he was the ancient Black Dragon is what JT chose to throw up in the air with his wind.
Ah.
That's how impactful this busted item is at the 16-minute mark. That you're like, you know what? A hero doesn't matter. We've got this 2,000 HP, 200 damage dealing, splash attacking, bonus armor providing, fireballing hero, creep hero to worry about.
I'm really intrigued to see how IG can take these next set of fights, because we just saw previously, as soon as Wukong's is dropped, they don't have a way to get inside that and burst down the Monkey King with ease. Like, it's very worrying that Aster can set up around this big ring or set up around Lenham's Plague Wards, and then it really puts IG in two minds of whether they can contest that area or whether they have to reset and rally around, you know, maybe their own high ground.
The big thing for mine is, obviously, I wasn't a huge fan of the Phoenix in the draft, but a big amount of credit needs to be given over to Aster, realizing the threat that Fly has on his Darkseer. I think that was the second last ban that they had, and I felt like that could have potentially been a hero that did bring them back into this game, because as it stands, there's so many heroes that you need to go on first before they're able to get off their effectiveness, right? Like, the Venomancer could just press R and he's fine. The Queen of Pain can just blink away. The Monkey King can BKB Wukongs. The Lycan can shapeshift and run away. Like, how do you get on all of these different heroes all at once?
On top lane, they're going to attempt that. White Album, however, there's the lack of stuns really coming to fruition at the moment as XXS and Queen of Pain easily able to reposition themselves, and that is a Primal Split completely wasted, and I wouldn't be surprised if Aster just look to rally up again around a smoke and continue the pushes. Yep, one is now freshly picked up from Lenham, so they're ready to rock and roll.
You won't have your Primal Split at least, and there's no Sonic Wave, but I feel like the Primal Split is the big thing that's preventing you from being able to take a lot of these team fights. So I think they're still good to go. Although you might look to wait until Monet has his BKB. He's already hit level 15, and he's only 600 gold shy.
Do you feel like Ursa, like, does he... Hang on, they're setting up on top. Do you feel like Ursa... one more second. I'm like, but hang on, who's setting up on who right now? This is the weird thing, like, I don't know how much they played with this new Ink Spell. Like, I've seen it a couple times as cost them kills with the increased timer.
Sure, and the thing is, like, it's not like you could just put it on yourself, wait for 3 seconds, and then blink in. Because the duration of the stun is based on how long the enemy targets have been affected by the ink swell. So it just becomes a lot harder to hit the full duration of that stun, right? Like, how often are people going to be standing next to you for 4 seconds as opposed to 3?
Well, this is... 1A. He's stalking Fly. Early use in the Rage, which is a lot of the damage mitigation on the Ursa, and they're going to continuously chase him down. 1-8 and White Album doing the dirty work. They don't have to commit heavy ultimates there for that kill. And Karkar might just die to the Helm of the Overlord plus the Wolves as well. So cool concept. Or Borax might even snipe him with the Stroke of Fate. He's out to safety. Borax, however, not going to have the same fate. Emo has the answer with Yule Scepter. So getting a little bit too there antsy on Borax. He's trying to find a cute snipe.
That's the other thing with the Venom, right? Like, your commitment needs to be so heavy. He needed to use the Enrage super early on, so he was still suffering a few of the lingering effects of that Poison Sting as he tries to run away because of the Plague Ward. And it just allowed the enemy team to chase you down. So probably a bit too deep of an attempt there by Borax at the end. But Lanham, he's totally happy with giving up his life if it means that Fly is on the sidelines.
Yeah, and it feels like the next real timing for IG coming through is going to be this Primal Split. I mean, Fly just picked up his Blink. Well, for him, also BKB, but I think that's going to take a little bit longer. So IG do have this capability to burst the Monkey King before Wukong's because of the Ursa's itemization, just being able to instantly get on top of him. But the execution has to be there, and it's not easy because you're really relying on the Nyx to start fights.
I mean, as long as he pops his BKB, he should be fine, though, right? Like, it is going to be reliant on the Nyx. As long as they've got some decent sentry vision, which, I mean, they do. They should be able to see this coming through with the Plague Ward, scouting them out in time.
Kaka. They're setting up for... Okay, never mind. They're not setting up at all. Nice timing on the
though.
Orchid for the Leshrac, so they don't get the Yul's follow-up after the Split Earth, and... Well, they're going to heavily punish the misplay from Invictus Gaming, now surrounded in the choke point. They're able to reset out, but it's not going to matter as Monet just cleans them up left, right, and center. The help of the Venomancer as well as Fly will fall, but they might not be able to chase JT. At least they can deal with the Earth Panda, but the rest of the Brewlings are off to safety, and man, what a choke point fight for Aster.
And that was without the Poison Nova coming through and that big timing that I was saying that IG needed. Second Roche, well, sorry, because you lost that team fight. You could see what they were going for, of course, with picking up these fresh items on IG. They wanted to get the win. They wanted to transition that into Roche, but the smoke, the Veno wards, able to scout it out. Very nicely done by Aster, and the game is swinging further and further in their favor.
You're just continuing to see how difficult it is for IG to actually take these fights. Like, who starts them? Like, really, the question is who starts them? They tried with the Delesh Yules combo, but an Orchid before the Yules came out to control the Queen of Pain meant that they just could readjust their targeting on Aster. They focus down the Supernova, and then that's it. Like, IG just have to disperse out of the area. And, like, do you want to see now the itemization be heavily focused on control for Invictus Gaming? Because, like, I'm really struggling to see how they can initiate.
Well, sorry, when you say control, are we talking about in response to an attempt that Aster are going to make on them? Because you know Aster are going to get aggressive, right? They've got a Lycan. They need to push. That's part of their lineup. Or are you talking about them wanting to, you know, push into Aster, try and catch them off guard?
Well, I think it's... You're perfectly right with the... Like, which one is it going to be? And I think it's so difficult. Kaka? Oh, he's going to scout the smoke. No one pings it. That was very, very delayed. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Like, what do you do now from IG? Because, like, Aster have this 10,000 net worth lead where... White Album? Okay, he's got a gem.
In a bit of a risky position as well.
Okay, he's going to TP up. So... Like, now you like, itemizing... It felt like it's a draft issue, because you see in their draft, like, with the heroes they have, they can't start fights, and now it's too late to itemize for that, considering Aster just got a bunch of items and just got ages. So looking to take the fight here, it's not going to be easy.
I can't think of too many better items than a Veno could get as well, other than this new Tumblr's toy. You know, he's going to, for the most part, be able to stay a tiny bit away from heroes, and so just to be able to get that extra 300 range with the Boink Dagger is going to be pretty effective at cutting out, in particular, this Ursa and the Leshrac.
Yep.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And
they gave the Ag Shard over to the Grimstroke, by the way. So they've got an additional, like a tiny bit of a save. It might mean that he places it in onto, honestly, any of the cores, right? You know that White Album wants to go in pretty deep. He's got the Blink maxed out, so it's only a 6-second cooldown. So that hard dispel is going to be nice if he ever does get jumped on. He's also got the BKB to assist with that. But you could just as well do it on the Lycan or the Monkey King, just for that extra layer of safety.
now it's... I mean, do you feel like IG just have to completely dodge this next 2 minutes here and wait for the expiration of the Aegis?
I mean, you could dodge it as much as you like, but you know that they're coming into their towers. It's why IG have done a decent job of being able to push out this top side. They want to make sure that Aster are trying to respond in a defensive manner.
Oh, they've
as well.
caught JT.
We'll talk about that. There's the stun.
And White Album with the follow-up damage. Beautiful control afterwards of the Orchid. And now also Emo's in trouble. XXS just gonna pop the ultimate, make sure there's no escape.
So many dots
for the Fairy Pony. And you see the damage over time really starting to stack up. Maybe just the crippling from the Wolves is enough. Meanwhile, what's going on down bottom? Monet, oh, he's just 1v3ing. What do you know? Just the classic monkey things. And well, Fly is going to try and win the man fight. There's a lot of Fury swipe stacks at the moment, but Monet will just turn, kill off the Supernova directly on top of the Wukong, since there's no way for Fly to protect it. He's going to try and blink in, but as soon as he does, he's cleaned up as a 14,000 net worth lead, and you know, the end continuing to come.
Look at Lycan as well. He's going into a cheeky Aghanim Scepter. He wants to give that Wolf Bite over to the Monkey King, and why not? You know, he just wants to enable him to get righted on the front lines, have a little bit of that extra movement speed. Lifesteal as well, fantastic for a Monkey King. He's still holding on to the broom handle, right? Like, they've spent so little time in the jungle that this Monkey King still just wants that extra range, and it's about to be the 27-minute mark. If they can get a Paladin
Radiant's
Sword
middle
from that,
tower has fallen.
I don't see a way that IG are going to come back, and even without it, it's looking pretty rough already.
It's and IG are traditionally the one few team that we see tap out very early in games. So the fact that they're still in this one at the moment makes me feel like they really believe they at least have an angle into this. Maybe it's one more fight that they think they can take. You know, they still haven't seen a full team fight, but I mean, Kaka, Monet just doesn't even care, popping a BKB just for a Nyx assassin. But I mean, you see the Wolves and their scouting potential.
About that scouting, Kako is just continuing to do his job, seeing that they've got no sentry vision. Man, to walk into this high ground area, that is no fear, considering that is where they would have the sentry set up. But maybe they might just be waiting. They want a team fight. They want to test out how good is this nihilism on the Leshrac, especially since the Diabolic Edict was changed from physical to pure damage. How is that going to buff up what you're able to do during that duration?
Yeah, so have you seen the nihilism on the new patch?
I have not.
So it's going to be... I haven't either, so I'm very intrigued to see how it works. And even before the patch, I didn't see much of the nihilism, as Emo doesn't have many heroes nearby, along with Kaka. I love how Aster have answered this Nyx assassin with the early gem pickup. And we saw... Yesterday, it felt like, well, at least the past couple of days from iLeague, we saw a lot of Nyx assassins just do way too much work with their scouting, and Aster recognized that with the early gem pickup, and you know, now, well, the Leshrac, it's got this freshly agged pickup. It's shiny and all. I don't know if it's enough to turn this one back around, as they've soul-binded up the Lesh. There's no escape. They're trying to target down Lennon, but I mean, this is a position 5 Veno, which has already used all its abilities, and they still haven't been able to even clean up the Venomancer, as now he, along with XXS, can try and reposition and target down the Supernova. Unfortunately, they don't have the attack speed at the moment. Due to the minus, slow, thanks to the Fiery Spirit.
Monet's in position.
Now Monet, he's going to pounce on forward. Nice timing of the Cyclone action from JT. He's going to kite the Monkey King, maybe enabling them to target down a secondary hero here, as they're still looking for XXS in the back line. Now might help him. The bash is out, the Queen of Pain. Can she blink to safety? About the strike, just giving her the space required. Still will chase her through from Fly, but it's going to cost him his life.
Little things going their way, but, you know, that was some very big plays coming out from IG, being able to get the cut down on the Monkey King, allowed them to get the kill onto the Queen of Pain during the stun duration, the very quick Cyclone there by JT. But, you know, you also had the Venomancer and the Lycan kind of in two minds about whether to or not to hit the egg, and, well, Veno ended up paying his life. He'd used all of his spells in the meantime, so it didn't matter all that much, but, again... Can't see IG coming back into this one. This is as clear a victory from the draft stage as I've seen in a long time.
So do we feel like then, I mean, I guess you just said it, like, where can they now work on in the drafting game too? I mean, with an 18,000 lead, and yeah, it doesn't feel like they've got much of a way back in this. So what can they kind of look to adjust in the second draft?
I feel like the Phoenix was just a bit of a mistake. You know, you don't have a response to all of this push. You can't stand behind towers like a Keeper of the Light or a Winter Wyvern does, and just be acting as a little bit of that counter push. Like, I would about to say even a Jakiro, but that's all based around the Macro Pyre as opposed to just a regular spell. They're going to try and go in here onto Kaka a little bit, who's still underneath the Sentry Vision. They've even got the Gem on XXS. And the Wolf Spike, by the way.
So I haven't seen this fresh use of the items here from XXS. Even, what's the, so okay, 80-second cooldown. I guess they're just waiting for Roche. I mean, Dai can, especially once Monkey King hits level 25, which he almost is as well, just to add salt to the wound of how they can take these fights. It's just showing, like, look at Lenham's positioning. He really does not give a damn. As long as he gets his ultimate off, and... Well, there's no extra follow, but I mean, the
they can't do anything now.
Yeah,
they can't do anything while this is ticking on them.
Like the way that the Veno is just positioning, just really.
Like, look at Kaka and JT. They're less than half HP because of one spell that he was able to use.
Very cool. What level is he? 15. So, oh, he went the Ag Shard too. Okay.
Yeah, I like it. It's really effective when you're against the these heroes that, you know, the BKB is still nice, but just being able to pop down a couple of Plague Wards and play somewhat more from safety, you know, once he picks up that Blink Dagger, it
He might get solo killed by Borax with the Hex completed. Good position 4, just ripping apart the Brewmaster with ease.
How often do you see Grip Strokes with an Elven Tunic, by the way?
Yeah, no, I mean, it feels like 1-8's happy with the neutral items that he's been able to pick up. White Album too. I mean, this is the nice thing with the change.
That's a Bloodthorn as well.
Yeah. A very, very early use of this. I mean, he went PKB into the Bloodthorn. So...
And Nullifier. So there's no way you're saving yourself. I'm sorry. That Nihilism not going to do all that much to protect yourself.
Once again, Borax has got the start. Leshak just absolutely obliterated. White Album's going to try and target down the Supernova, but they've got bigger issues in the backline. They've got to deal with the Bear, which has cleaned up Borax, so a nice target for Invictus Gaming to bring down to start, but now that has completely wasted all of Fly's abilities, and well, White Album will put him in the grave with a beautiful use of the Sonic Wave.
Oh, 100% Venom win rate. Let's go. I never had any doubt. I thought maybe the laning stage they might have opted for something different, putting it into the Ursa, but they were still able to give Monkey King an absolutely secured lane, prevent the Brewmaster from having that early level 6, and well, that was all the pressure that they needed. I feel like they drafted at least 2 winning lanes. I was surprised that Ursa got as much as he did out of that bottom side, especially considering the Phoenix does have these peaks and valleys with its strength in the laning phase based around the Fiery Spirits cooldown. But yeah, very solid, clean performance from Aster without too many weaknesses outside of a little bit of lack of crowd control. But they addressed that with their items.
Yeah, they very much did. And that's the... You see the difference though, like IG, they had kind of the issues with starting fights, but when you don't have this economic lead, then you can't, you know, fix that issue in itemization. And like you just said, that's exactly what Aster were able to do to help out with one of their big weaknesses to enable this pretty convincing game 1 victory. I mean, it was 32 minutes in. There really was no messing around. It felt like Aster had a real tight grip of this game from about 10 minutes in. Honestly, all their lanes were going really well. You saw the net worth lead never dipped into the Radiant side, and well, with a performance like that, Aster, they now put themselves, they'd strike first in game 1, putting themselves up on the board, and well, we'll see if IG can work on these little things to head into game 2. All eyes on the draft, and we'll find out how that fares after a break.